Quick, Robin, get the shark repellent bat spray.
I'm vengeance.
I am the Knight.
I'm Batman.
The Force of Other Stuff. Batman Edition. Swear to me! Hello, and welcome to The Force of Other Stuff. It's Batman Day, and today we're doing all Batman. I know you're probably listening to this thinking, man, aren't you guys a Star Wars podcast? Yes, but our friendship might be founded on a love of not only Star Wars, but also Batman. So we're doing a Batman Day full thing.
Hey, by the way, who are you?
Oh, I'm Nightwing? I don't know. I didn't have my Batman mask anymore. I only have my thing, so.
I'm just talking about how we always introduce ourselves at the top of the podcast, dog.
Oh, I'm Batman. This is Robin. No, I'm kidding. I'm Zach. And
I'm Matt Poitner.
Sorry, we didn't fully plan this out, and it should be fun. It should be fun.
We are the Force of Others. Today, we're diving into the Force of Other Stuff, which is our excuse to talk about non-Star Wars things. And if you haven't put together by now, we're talking about Batman this week. As this year, Batman turns 86, and Batman Day, which is kind of an unofficial marketing day put together by WB and DC Comics and so on and so forth, we're going to celebrate Batman Day here. This episode will come out Friday the 19th. Batman Day is Saturday the 20th. So celebrate the Dark Knight, and that's what we're doing today.
Yeah.
But before we get into anything else, and we're going to talk about our top 5 Batman actors, or top 5 Batman movies, top 5 Batman writers, top 5 Batman comic books, and all kinds of other stuff. You're going to figure out what Batman means to us. But to get into the specifics, Zach, why is Batman your favorite comic book superhero?
I think it's mainly because of the writing that he's gotten over all these years. You know, he is just a dude that happens to be really smart, and there's something about the aspiration of like the human spirit that everyone identifies with Batman. It's like, cool, if I study under not a Jedi master, a ninja master, if I study under some shinobi techniques, if I study this, if I study detectives, I can be Batman and have all these adventures and stuff like that. And so I don't know, I think it's just the aspiration of being a human to be like, oh yeah, no, I identify with that. That's just a dude. I could do that. Not really, but I think I could do that. So, but yeah, Batman has the best villains. He has the best characters. He has the best. He's the best. So, what about you? Why is Batman your favorite superhero?
Because he's Batman. No, I'm just kidding. But because he, like everybody always says, and like you just said, because he's human, but also because he comes. This is a silly answer, but he comes from the worst pain imaginable. Like terrible, brutal, so dark, so awful, and we've seen that origin story to death. And I almost hope we never see it on screen again. But. Yeah. The pearls and popcorn, all that stuff. We all know what happened to Bruce Wayne's parents. But because he comes from that, and out of that becomes such a force for good, while also being borderline edgelordy, but also not, because contrary to some on-screen depictions, he doesn't kill. But I will always love Batman, because he is so archetypal, he is so fundamental. He's a person that the worst thing imaginable happened to, and he used that. Instead of becoming a villain, he became the ultimate hero.
Yeah.
And then when you get into the different versions of him and the different versions of DC Comics, he's a normal guy that can go toe-to-toe and fight alongside gods. And they're, like, flabbergasted by him.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Batman moments ever is in a DC animated movie I don't really like. One of the ones for the new iteration where they were adapting the New 52 stuff, and Green Lantern, the first time he meets Batman, he's like, you're just a guy? Well, you're not a vampire or anything? What's the deal? What can you do? And as Green Lantern's going on about, like, how could you possibly be on this team, he looks down and his ring's gone and Batman's holding it.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, the biggest thing I don't do is I don't lose focus. And he tosses him his ring and walks away. And it's like, that's Batman.
Yeah.
He is never not focused. He's never He's never distracted. He's always in. He's always going. It's also one of my favorite things about the character is that the man's crazy. The man is crazy because he doesn't stop, right?
Yeah.
But that's what the world needs. He's also egotistical and broken, right? That, like, he knows the world needs Batman, and he's the only one that can do it. But it's so inspiring and frightening at the same time, right? But in the same way that I love Superman, in that he's so hopeful, Batman is so pessimistic, but they use those things to drive them.
Yeah.
But anyway, because he's Batman. That's why we love him.
Batman. Well, and to bring it back to Star Wars, just thinking about the character and all that, since we are a Star Wars podcast, we got to talk about it a little bit. Isn't it interesting how Batman is doing everything that Yoda told him not to, but still becoming a hero? He has fear. His fear is of bats. He takes that fear. It leads to anger. He's especially in those early years, he's, beating criminals. He is vengeance, right? Anger leads to hate. He eventually he hates crime, and he also suffers. He is a brooding, dark Batman. He is in a cave and he's suffering alone until he gets his Robins and his family and all that. But the foundation of Batman is everything that Yoda tells us not to do, but he is still a hero.
That's interesting, but, like, I guess you could also say he doesn't, he steers into his fear and his pain, and he uses it for, proactively, whereas, like, the Joker is the exact opposite. The Joker uses whatever pain he had to be a source of anarchy. But yeah, I mean, you're right, but I guess it's like what Yoda was really talking about, in my opinion, like, the thing of Batman would be if Batman gave into his rage and his anger and was killing everybody. I became an orphan, so now everyone else will as well. You know what I mean? But I became an orphan, and because of that, I never want to deal with death ever again. Ever. To the point that now I won't kill the Joker even when I probably should. But, yeah, that's why we love Batman, and we're going to talk more about why we love him for later on. But in the meantime, Zach, how was your real-life week, and what adventures across all of genre and nerddom did you have this week?
It was a good week. Busy week. Work is very busy right now, but good. Had some adventures yesterday, went out shopping, and I don't know if it's the new Lego movie or what, but Target had an entire aisle of Star Wars Legos, and I was like, oh man, I want to buy every single one. But even just the Star Wars sign is $60, so I don't know if it's in my budget this week. But it was very close to having like a Lego Star Wars symbol right here. So, we'll see. We'll see if I can budget that for next week. Yeah. But yeah, just good adventures, working, doing stuff, just normal weeks. But had some fun adventures yesterday out shopping, and it's a spooky decor season, so we have been just like pumpkins galore, and it's awesome. It's so good. We bought a giant pumpkin and did a little photo shoot with it, so that was fun. But yeah, what about you? Any spooky adventures as we enter our spooky season?
No, because Halloween sucks and I hate it.
You're wrong! Says the person getting into cosplay. You're wrong!
Oh, well, yeah, but I'm not getting into scary cosplay. No, everybody, longtime fans of the podcast know that I am a little wimp and I do not like being scared. I just don't enjoy it. I don't get joy out of it. I don't get that rush. I just get, like, angry. I'm the guy that has punched someone in a haunted house before. And while I did get kicked out, the people were also like, yeah, the guy broke the rules, man. He was not supposed to do that. Nah, that sounds whatever. It was one of the things where there were no lights in the haunted house, and so I'm feeling along the wall, and then the wall ended, and the dude was like this close to me, and pitch black in this room, turned the flashlight on and screamed, and like in my bubble, and I punched him dead in the face. Anyway, so I'm that guy that I just don't get joy out of being scared. But if you do, fantastic. But so as for my week, similar to Zach, wildly busy just in terms of work stuff. The Academy is in rehearsals for Matilda. I am writing my adaptation of A Christmas Carol, which I'll also be directing this Christmas at the Granbury Opera House. What else is happening? Oh, we just had auditions for Junior Theater Festival Atlanta. We're getting ready to have auditions for Junior Theater Festival West. And my business manager and I are coordinating all of the money and flights and everything that it takes to get, about 100 people to Atlanta and back and to Sacramento and back. But that'll all happen early next year. And on top of that, I got cast for the one thing I've auditioned for this year. I'm going to play Dr. Frankenstein in Young Frankenstein at the Granbury Opera House, and the biggest reason I'm bringing it up on the show is that Frankenstein's monster is someone y'all know, Brian Lawson. You saw him on our first RPG. Put Brian on the rib. You saw him on our first RPG one-shot, and then he's also been on the show as a guest. We're going to bring him back eventually. I keep threatening this to fight about Grey Jedi and how they don't exist. Yeah, love Brian, and I'm so excited to be in a show with him. It's going to be so fun. If you're in the Granbury area, or you want to be in the Granbury area, check out GranburyTheaterAcademy.org and come see us tap dancing and goofballing and whatever else. But adventures that I had this weekend is a movie that came out, I think, last year that Jane and I have been wanting to see. We finally sat down and watched it, but Saturday Night, which is a movie about all the behind-the-scenes chaos of the first episode of Saturday Night Live.
Oh, yes.
Such a fun movie. Such
Cool.
a good movie. I loved it. I want to read the book and whatever else that it's based on, because some of it I was like, that didn't happen. That is movie nonsense. There's no way. There's other stuff with like all the drugs and whatnot that I'm like, it was the 70s. I fully believe that happened. But I will never believe that one of the heads of NPC Studios didn't actually say they were going to go live until they're going, are we going live or are we going to a Carson rerun? And they're counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's no way. That did not happen. Or if it did, I would love to be wrong. But the best thing about that movie is that as theater people, as Zach and I are, the movie is about everybody coming together to make a live performance happen and all the chaos that has to happen for that to take place.
Yeah.
Right? And so it hit me right where I live, and I loved that. But as for the Star Wars adventure that I had this week, if you didn't see it, everybody pause this episode, go right now to the Explore the Force YouTube page and watch their quiz from last week. They do a live trivia show. They did it for a while, and they started it back up. It was last week's guest, Will the Force, was on there last week. I was on there on Friday.
Nice.
They've never gone to overtime before. We had to do 6 tiebreaker questions. It was me versus Sam. You can find him on Instagram at the Jawa Den. 6 tiebreakers. It was crazy. It was the first time I've ever been live on the internet, and the first time I've ever been live doing trivia, and the first actual Star Wars trivia competition that I think I've ever been in. So I was sweating bullets, dog. I was terrified. 6 tiebreakers. It was incredible. It's so fun. And then by the end of it, everybody in the chat was going nuts, and the chat and the host want Zach to go on the show.
Which we're going to make that happen.
we got to make that happen. I mean, I felt bad. I wasn't trying to dunk on you. I was like, he's not as much of a trivia head, but we'll try to get him on here. And wasn't trying to dunk on you. I just, it was in the weeds, dog. It was crazy. The question.
My biggest fear is sometimes when I go on like a trivia show like that, I will like be like, they'll be like, "What is Vader's planet?" And I'll be like, and it's like, no, it's Mustafar. You're like, oh no, I knew that. So.
It happened a couple times. I mean, Sam had a brain. I don't think I had a brain fart on anything. Like there was, as they were going into the weeds on the questions, one of the questions that they asked that I knew the answer to and I just couldn't pull it was, what is the real world location that Daisy Ridley summons Mark Hamill at in The Force Awakens? Where did they shoot the first Jedi Temple? And all I could summon, that's the word that I couldn't get. All I could summon was Michael Island off the coast of Ireland. I knew everything about it, and I knew there was another word that I couldn't remember, and so I was like, blank Michael Island. And the other guy, Sam, didn't have it either, but he goes, but then the host is like, Skellig Michael, and I was like, I knew this. So, but anyway, go check it out. It is so much fun. It's a really, really, really good time, and that's the Star Wars. That's the Star Wars for this episode. And now it's time to dive into The Dark Knight. And so, Zach, getting this thing started off, we're going to get into the weeds on a bunch of different Batman questions to find out what Batman means to us. Zach, what is your favorite on-screen Batman suit?
This was a hard one because I love the classic, like, gray and black, and I was thinking, like, maybe it is Ben Affleck. Maybe it is the Ben Affleck Batsuit, but there's something about it that is so rubber-looking to me. Like, there's something about, I know it's like Kevlar weave or whatever, but, and then I was like, okay, cool, then do I do the Batman, because it also has gray? And I was like, no, because that one also is just, it's cool, I love it, but it's not the thing. And so I think my favorite on-screen Batman suit is Batman Begins.
Good call.
It's a good one. It looks like Batman. It has everything you want out of it. Has a beautiful Batman symbol. And it works. It works really well. I really hate the Dark Knight Batman suit and the Dark Knight Rises Batman suit. I think it's dumb. I think he looks like a bobblehead. I get why they did it. But he looks like a little bobblehead. Like, get him to turn his neck, but not, I don't know. I know it was a cool thing. I like the story element of it, but I don't like the look of it. I like that first Batman Begins suit. So, what about you?
Right on. For me, it was a fight with myself between two suits. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his name. Holy crap. Michael Keaton. The Michael Keaton Batman Returns suit with the yellow symbol, and it is so colorful while also being very, very dark. But my favorite suit is the Ben Affleck Batman suit.
Oh, really?
Spoilers, not a fan of Ben Affleck Batman. I think that Ben did a great job.
Looks like this.
I think that he... Yeah, exactly. I think that he played a character that looks like Batman, but it's not Batman. Sorry, guys. This is just hot takes. But I like that it's the one time they had the courage to not put him in armor. He's a ninja. He doesn't wear armor. Sorry, he just doesn't. I don't like Batman when he wears armor because it slows him down. And I know that we'll get into this more later, I know that that's not realistic because when people are shooting at him, you'd want to wear body armor. But this story would never be real, so why waste time trying to make it real?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my take.
Well, that takes us into our next question. Who is your favorite Batman actor? It's not Ben Affleck, apparently. So
it wouldn't surprise me if we have the same one. So it's a strange answer, but to me, to this point, there is only one Batman actor that will ever really matter. Ever. And it's Kevin Conroy. When I read a Batman story, there is one voice that I hear in my head for Batman. And it's Kevin Conroy. If you don't know, Kevin Conroy was the voice of Batman for the Batman the Animated Series in the 90s, and then through the rest of the animated universe, through the Justice League show, Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond, all that stuff. That defines Batman for most people. When you hear that voice, you're like, oh yeah, that's what Batman sounds like. And I'm like, yeah, it is. So, to me, that's the best performance we've had so far.
Yep.
Not even close, but what about you?
Exact same. Kevin Conroy, he's the GOAT. He's the best. He, my favorite, one of my favorite stories he would tell, I think he told on Batman/Fatman Beyond, back when that was a interview-based podcast. And he was like, yeah, I was working in a soup kitchen, and the guy was like, man, that sounds like Batman. And he was like, no, that's not Batman. And he just does I am the Knight. I am Batman. And they're like, oh, that is Batman.
If I remember right, and I might be mixing up the stories, but the way that I remember it is he told that story, it was a soup kitchen for people working and or displaced by 9/11.
Yeah. And
he showed up just to kind of volunteer, and he got to give all these people joy by just like somebody figured out he was Batman, and so he just hits that line, and it was in the back of the soup kitchen, and it was echoing, and the whole room just got a moment of joy in one of the darker times in our history.
Yeah.
So,
rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. What an amazing guy. Juilliard actor, roommates with, I think, Robin Williams and Kevin Kline, I believe, as well. In college, if I remember that interview correctly. Just a wild life that he led, and such a great actor. But
I think Robin
pretty
Williams
sure.
was roommates with Christopher Reeve.
yes, but I think
at Juilliard.
another
Kevin Conroy
time.
was there too.
Yes, I think in another year.
Oh,
I don't know.
cool.
That's the interview that I remember,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
just
Cool.
remember being like, "What?" So
Cool. Well, and
Yeah.
last thing on Kevin Conroy, and it does tie into Star Wars. I believe this was 2017, but it might have been 20. It was it had to have been 2017. Maybe it was 2018. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is, Jenny and I went to Dallas Comic-Con mostly because there was a panel reuniting Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy. Mark Hamill is not just Luke Skywalker. If you somehow don't know, he voiced the Joker, always
Yeah.
across from Kevin Conroy. Whenever they'd ask Mark to come back to do another animated movie or whatever as the Joker, he would say, "Do you have Kevin? And if you do, I'm coming back. If you don't, no." And it was so cool to see them on a panel together. The unfortunate reality was Mark had just finished shooting The Last Jedi, so we hadn't really gotten Luke Skywalker's on-screen return yet. And so all the panel was fan questions, and all that it was questions to Mark Hamill about Star Wars
dang.
on the Batman and Joker panel. And he kept trying to throw it back to Kevin Conroy and kept trying to tie it back in to Batman and Joker, and with no success. I felt very, very bad for both of them. But anywho, but I can confirm, seeing Kevin from afar seemed like a wonderful person, and sometimes the best people don't get to be around as long.
Yeah.
And that sucks. But we've talked about what he means to us and how he defines Batman for us. But the storytellers, in many ways, are the people that get to define characters. So, Zach, we're going to get into our top 5 favorite Batman writers of all time.
Yep.
Zach, who's your number 5?
My number 5 is Grant Morrison.
Ooh, good
Yeah.
boy.
I mean, like, great writer, just across all comics, but specifically his Batman and Robin, where Dick Grayson is playing Batman and Damian Wayne is playing Robin, is so fun and new and exciting, and having these two brothers that aren't actually brothers but have the same dad, but, like, there's just so much that goes into it, and, like, the Dick Grayson trying to be Batman while Bruce is dead at this time, and like the inheritance of the cowl and all of that. Just a great run. And Grant Morrison's written many other comics and Batman comics, but that one specifically, I love that run. Who's your number 5?
So, I want to shout out real quick because I said this earlier. Grant Morrison is the one who dropped the quote with the way that he writes comic book stories. He's not my number 5, but I just want to say this. He was the one that said he never likes it when someone's take on a comic book character or a comic book story is, what if this was real? He was the one that was always like, this would never be real. So why waste time trying to make it real? That takes away what makes it special. Make it fantastical, make it crazy, make it larger than life, because no one would ever be able to dress up like a bat and beat criminals to a pulp in the street without dying.
True.
Right? So let's make it insane, right? And that's part of why I love the James Gunn DCU so much, because they're definitely wasting no time. What if it was real? We're going to tell a comic book story.
Yeah.
But my number 5 Batman writer, it might be spicy that he's this low, Frank Miller.
Oh, wow.
So when you look at The Dark Knight Returns, when you look at Year One, when you look at some of the most definitive Batman stories, I had to put him on this list. The biggest reason he's not higher is it's a little dark for me.
Spoilers, he's not on my list at all.
Whoa, for the same reasons.
Yeah. Just like, it's so funny because Dark Knight Returns is on one of my top 5 comics, but Frank Miller is not on my top 5 writers. So, interesting.
Well, because as you go on in the Dark Knight Returns saga,
it gets
the sequel
weird.
It gets a little more weird than good.
I also don't like what he did to Dick Grayson.
What he
makes
did
me
to
mad.
Dick Grayson was strange. It gets so dark, and Batman starts to behave kind of racist, and it's like, I get it, you're trying to create a complicated character, but then some of the things that he said about the character, I'm like, ugh, it gets a little uncomfy for me.
Yeah.
But I'm going to talk about it more later, but just to write the lines, this would be a good death.
Yeah.
Not good enough. And to open a story that way, and then just, I want you to remember Clark, the one man who beat you. As Batman's beaten up Superman,
Yeah.
This is not a mud pit. It's an operating table, and I'm the surgeon. Just that's Batman. Those
Drop
elements
mics.
are
Drop
just nothing
mics.
but mic drops. You cannot stop him. You cannot beat him. He is so much farther. He is the smartest person in every room he will ever go into, while also being the biggest BA. That's Batman, and Frank Miller writes that better than anybody else. Then you get into some of the other stuff, and Batman gets kind of uncomfy in some of his writing, in my opinion, but you have to give credit for just the mic drops. The best Batman mic drops were all written, most of them were written by Frank Miller.
Yeah.
So there's my number 5. Who's your number 4?
My number 4, it might be one that people don't think of that often, but Paul Dini.
Yes,
from
sir.
the animated series, from the Arkham games, he was a big influence on that. Creator of Harley Quinn. Again, spent tons of time with the character, with the animated series and all that, and I like the way he writes Batman. I almost thought about putting him higher on my list, but I have some other ones that I think outrank him just a little bit. But Paul Dini, one of the best Batman writers of all time. And I also think he created Batman Beyond, if I'm not also mistaken.
He was part of the creative team. He didn't create Terry McGinnis, but he was part of the team. Yeah, when WBTV went, hey, we would need to reinvent Batman, and they were like, okay, well, we don't want to do a younger Batman, so we'll jump forward.
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
Who's your number 4?
So this is a bit of a deep cut, unfortunately, but there's a lot of people that have touched Batman. That sounds weird. There's a lot of people that
And I'm
have
sure
impacted.
he's touched them too.
There's a lot of people that have impacted Batman, but I don't know of a creative that had a greater impact on bringing Batman out of Silver Age campy silliness and back into his roots to kind of reset and define him as the grim street-level detective while also telling larger-than-life fantasy stories. And I'm talking about the Batman writer in the 70s and 80s, and that's Denny O'Neil.
Yeah.
Denny O'Neil
Rest in
is
peace.
one of my favorite Batman writers that created Ra's al Ghul. By the way,
Yeah.
it ain't Ra's al Ghul, it's Ra's al Ghul. Not only is that the phonetically correct way to pronounce that name, it sounds so much better. So Ra's al Ghul is his name. But created Ra's al Ghul, created Talia al Ghul, created the League of Assassins and all of those stories, and so many just fundamental Batman stories that I don't even want to get into it because I'm going to forget ones that are just as important, and had such a long run. I mean, the death in the Family is a Denny O'Neil story.
Oh, yeah.
He's just it almost feels criminal to put him at 4, but that's because my top 3 I couldn't have him anywhere else. But Denny O'Neil, look up his stories, and you will be baffled at how impactful his writing is.
Yeah.
Still is today. So who's your 3?
Well, speaking of impactful writers, Jeff Loeb is my number 3.
Ooh, let's go. Good
Jeff
one.
Loeb, I mean, if you like The Batman, go read The Long Halloween. Go read Dark Victory. He is somebody that took Batman and took him to that, like, I don't know, he just writes, like, speaking of street-level dark stories, like, but that can also be fantastical. Like, he is really good at doing the mix of, like, okay, this is, like, grim and dark and beautiful, but also there's a crazy crocodile man, you know, like, like, he uses the characters that Batman has and does really great stories with them. He does some really awesome stuff with Long Halloween, with Two-Face. I mean, they're just everything that he writes is really, really wonderful. And Long Halloween, I think, is one of the top 5 Batman books of all time. Spoilers for later, but it's so much of what we see now is inspired by that comic. So yeah, that's my number 3.
And you can't forget Hush, dude.
Oh, I know. We're gonna have a whole talk about Hush. I chose
Awesome.
not to specifically say that one because
so
we're gonna
sorry.
talk about it later, baby.
Cool. All right, so my number 3, much more recent, Scott Snyder.
Yeah.
So the guy, he had begun to take over Detective Comics. This is if I remember right, this is 2010, 2011. Because
right before New 52.
Right before the New 52, and then they handed him the Batman comic for New 52. New 52 was the first time that DC just completely wiped the slate clean. All continuity gone. Everybody gets a new number one.
Yeah.
Right? Which is crazy when that happens. It's funny. All these writers are comic writers that we've mentioned so far. None of them have touched I guess for Paul Dini. You did say Paul Dini.
Yeah.
But Scott Snyder relaunched Batman, and we're going to talk about this a lot, but a great mix between the fantastical and the detective. The street-level detective while also being a fantasy story. But Scott Snyder writes some of my favorite Batman inner monologue. And I had a thing pulled up. Let me see if I can find it super quick. Oh, no.
One year, I got Matt, for his birthday, a signed comic by Scott Snyder. That's how much we love Scott Snyder. Spoilers. For my list, top 5.
I can't find this quote, so maybe I will later, or maybe I'll send it to Zach and I'll put it in the outro. But he's a great writer, and he is so good at making what he gets probably better than anybody is the philosophical side of Batman.
Yeah.
Like, to the point where it's almost kind of a little too philosophical at times, but great Batman stories. Death of the Family, Endgame, 0 Year, The Court of Owls. So many things that took the history of Batman while kind of redefining it while also explaining it philosophically.
Yeah.
His version of the Joker is my favorite version of the Joker. He's not crazy at all. He has a very specific goal. And he's a manipulator, but he's not crazy. So I'm doing a bad job of selling it, but I'm going to talk more about him later. But Scott Snyder, just fantastic Batman writer, and also just generally a great horror writer for comics. I don't like being scared. I love reading his stuff.
Right here I have a We Have Demons pin because his book We Have Demons is so good. They were handing it out at Comic-Con. I was like, hee 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 hee.
Witches.
Witches is
WYTCHES. So good. They keep talking about trying to make that into a movie or a TV show. What are you waiting on? It's on the page. Just do it.
Especially with how big witch and fantasy is right now. Like, bro, make that now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
but you're number 2.
I'm just gonna continue talking about it because Scott Snyder's my number 2. I think he's amazing. The way he writes Batman, he was handed basically be like, hey, so you have to make a Batman that still has all of the continuity that we've just destroyed, but he's only been around for about 3, 5, 10 years. Like, not even 10 years for New 52. He was basically, like, handed the most complex equation, and then he took it, made it into a baseball, and then just shot it out of the park. Just, like, he is such a good Batman writer. And he does weird stuff too. I love when he gets weird. I'm pretty sure he wrote as well for the 50th anniversary of Batman. He wrote the Batman that keeps on making other Batmen.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. We talked about at the top, Matt talked about how Batman knows that there needs to be a Batman. There always needs to be a Batman. Scott Snyder wrote this thing where Batman clones himself every 100 years so that there is always a Batman for Gotham, and it is one of the coolest comics because you get to see a Batman for all of these future ages, and everyone is taught by the previous Batman to be like, hey, here's our story, here's the things you remember from, 1950, and here's how it still applies to today. We still need a Batman. There will always need a Batman. And it's one of my favorite of all time. He also does that weird Batman that's holding Joker's head going around no man's land and all that. Anytime he gets weird and philosophical, it's always great. Court of Owls is one of the best Batman books of all time. It's spoilers, we'll talk about it more later, I'm sure, for both of us. But just talk about a guy who just continually writes good stuff no matter what he's put on. His creator-owned stuff is awesome. He has another one called C that is really good. It's about it's very topical if you want like a cool, weird sci-fi. Speaking of sci-fi stuff, it's about a future where you implant chips in your brain so that you can see the world how you want to see it. So like there's this awesome splash page of like a heist happening, and you see it from different perspectives, and like, here's it happening in the Old West, here's it happening in fantasy, here's it happening in the real world, here's it happening in like a Star Wars-esque, and it's awesome, and it's so philosophical. It's about a detective whose kid got killed because he was seeing a different reality than normal, and now he's the only one to see clear of the real reality the way it is, and it is awesome. Scott Snyder is one of the greatest of all time. So
well, I wanted to chime in real quick. Then the story you're talking about of where a Batman is cloned for every generation is called, it's Detective Comics 27.
yeah,
It's when the New 52 reached the number for Detective Comics of the issue number where Batman was first created back in 1939, Detective Comics 27. And so they got a bunch of writers together to write just a Batman one-shot, and he wrote a story just called 27, and it's about the 27th Batman.
yeah,
And it's so cool. It's just this guy wakes up in the Batcave, and it's like, what the heck? And there's been Kaiju Batman, and there's been all this kinds of not insane stuff. One of my favorite parts of that book, because it's such a cool way. It's a way to say that Batman will continue forever. There will always, it's my headcanon that there will always be a Batman because of this little one shot. But one of my favorite things is there's the giant Joker card hanging in the Batcave, and he's walking around talking to who we pieced together as the previous Batman that's about to die. But he's saying, what's this? What's that? He sees the Joker card. He goes, what's that? And older Batman just looks at him and goes, you'll find out. We all do. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Batman
chills.
and Joker are destined to do this forever.
yeah.
So yeah, Scott Snyder is the GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
My number 2,
Mm-hmm.
Paul Dini, baby.
Hey,
So,
there we go.
Batman, the animated series, is my favorite version of Batman. It is not just because it's one of the first ones that I ever got to see. There's probably a lot of it, and it's probably part of why I keep going back to it and gaining a better appreciation of it. But to me, it's the fundamental Batman so far because it's everything we're saying. He is street level. He is the brilliant detective while also going up against insane, larger-than-life threats. But you talk about a writer that has had to consistently write Batman more often than everybody else. With comic writers, or with movie writers, they write a movie. They write 2 hours of Batman. With a comic writer, they got to write a Batman story every month. Batman, the animated series, he's got to write 20 minutes of Batman on, like, not quite a weekly basis, but close. He wrote something crazy like 40% of the 8 years of Batman, the animated series, or however long that it ran.
Yeah.
But just absolute incredible stories. Almost got him. One of the best Batman stories ever. Heart of Ice.
Heart of
Joker's
Ice.
Favor. Mad Love. Harley and Ivy. The Man Who Killed Batman. Make 'em Laugh. There's just so and then moving on into Justice League Unlimited. The episode of Batman and Wonder Woman having to fight Cersei, and she turns Wonder Woman into a pig, and the way that he's able to convince Cersei to fix it is I forget, it's such a ridiculous story on paper, but it's one of my favorite things, that yes, the way that he has to solve this problem is sing. And I'm telling you,
And
if
Kevin
you haven't
Conroy
seen it,
knocks it out of the park, baby.
because he was a music theater guy.
Yeah.
And it's that, I know, if you haven't seen it, you're like, what? You guys are dumb. It's the strangest sounding Batman story ever that is so good.
Yeah.
But if nothing else, Heart of Ice alone, like, that's
Redefine the
mic
character.
Drop. That's the mic drop. I had to really, really work to not put Paul Dini at number 1.
Mm-hmm.
But, Zach, who's your number 2?
Well, I already went over my number 2. We're to my number 1 now.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, because that was your number 2.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
It's all good.
Zach, who's your number 1?
My number 1 is the greatest Batman creator of all time, Mr. Bill Finger.
We have the same number 1.
Yeah. So if you don't know who Bill Finger is, a lot of people didn't know. Bill Finger was the writer for the original Batman comics, where Bob Kane was the creator and original artist. Bob Kane went to Bill Finger and he's like, hey, look at this sketch. And it's a guy in red tights with the little black underwear and a big bat wings. And he's like, cool. Yeah. And bright blonde hair. And he goes, cool. What if we made him look like a bat? And everything, like a large portion of what we know and love about Batman comes from Bill Finger. Gotham City, Bruce Wayne, Catwoman, Riddler, Joker, I'm pretty sure as well. Just all
the
of...
Batcave, the Batmobile. That's all him.
Yeah, it's all him. And he died unrecognized because Bob Kane held the rights, didn't give him any credit, only said that he would give him credit after his death. He died alone in a one-bedroom apartment, completely unrecognized. The only thing that his name was on Batman-wise was an episode of the 1966 television series, but now has, since been recognized as one of the two creators, and so now Batman always says created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger. And he's the best. There's literally a award now called the Bill Finger Award for Comic Writing Excellence. Bill Finger is one of the greatest comic book writers of all time, and you don't got any of Batman without Bill Finger. So, anything else you want to add?
Just that it is one of the sadder things in all of pop culture entertainment that he never got recognized for creating one of, if not the most recognizable fictional character ever.
Yeah.
So, okay. But, so you don't get Batman without Bill Finger. You don't get Batman without great villains.
Mm-hmm.
Moving into top 5 Batman villains.
Yeah.
Zach, who's your number 5?
So I'm just going to preface this. I didn't put Joker anywhere on this list. I think Joker is the greatest, right? So people listening to this already know who the Joker is. They already know all of his beautiful stories. I didn't put Joker on here because to me he is so intertwined with Batman that you can't have Batman without Joker. So he exists in a list of his own. So I went with people that you probably don't know that are my favorites. Number 5, I have Clayface. As an actor, cool. I love Clayface. He is an actor who is just was kind of ugly and always played villains and then wanted to be other things, and so he goes through this chemical thing and accidentally becomes clay, and he can change himself to be anyone. And there have been some very silly versions like the Harley Quinn show where he is an actor, and then there's some really dark, sinister ones where he's murdering people because he can become anyone, like Mystique. I love Clayface. I think he is really, really, really cool, and I wanted to spotlight a villain that people might not know about. Who's your number 5?
Well, I need to think about this because I did take what I didn't realize was the easy way out and make the Joker number 1. So I need to think about this for a second because I have 5 with Joker at 1. I mean, let's talk about the Clown Prince of Crime for a moment. One of the best pieces of writing ever is to create a villain this purely polar opposite of the hero.
Yeah.
Batman is so dark, and he is so sad, and he is so brooding, and he is so serious. So you create a villain that thinks horrible things is hilarious. And, I mean, quick take on the Joker. He is the best when you don't know who he is.
Yeah.
Killing Joke is a great story. But even in that story, he says, so many bad things have happened to me. If I knew a past, if I had a past, I'd prefer it be multiple choice. The Joker is terrifying because you have no clue where he came from and how he's this depraved.
Yeah.
But I love the Joker, and so many of my favorite Batman things are Joker stories. But, crap. So my top 5, I'm going to go
You
with...
can keep it the way it is. I was just like, oh, everybody...
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. So I'm going to actually say my number 5 is Bane.
Bane?
Bane...
You are really born in the darkness.
Not because of that version of Bane. Tom Hardy did a great job doing something new and different that everybody still makes fun of to this day. But because of Nightfall, the comic book story with Bane, if I remember, I don't know if that's where he came from or if that's because I didn't research this because he wasn't on my list. But that just the plan to release all of Batman's villains in one night to wear him out and so that then he could go into the Batcave and defeat Batman because he's exhausted, and then broke his back, and Batman had to rebuild himself. That is a fantastic Batman story. And so Bane being a kind of mix of brawn and brains, which doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
Right? While being with Venom and being that crazy overpowered, while also being really intelligent. It's a good villain. So, Zach, who's your number 4 Batman villain of all time?
Well, before, I just want to shout out to, I love the Harley Quinn show, and they do Bane the perfect amount of silly, and where he's just like, I want to blow up bombs! And he's all about blowing things up, and it's one of my favorite iterations, because they take all of the intelligence away of the classic.
But I will say, the worst iteration is from Batman and Robin.
Oh, yeah.
Bomb!
Petal! Metal!
God. Anyway, keep going.
Well, speaking of Batman and Robin, not this version, but I do love Ivy. I think Ivy is such a unique and fun villain, because she's kind of an anti-hero a lot of times. You know, she's about the trees and the life and Mother Earth, while still being sinister and, not crazy, but like sometimes, depending on the writer, but she is usually, the way she is used is so well done most of the time. I love her in the Arkham series where she's like, oh, we're just going to take over Gotham again and make it into a plant paradise. And yeah, that might kill a bunch of people, but the people are killing the plants. And she's such a complicated villain. And her stuff with Harley is awesome. And she just is a great, not even villain / anti-hero / just a complicated character that is fun. And I love me some Ivy.
Right on.
What about you? What's your number 4?
I was giggling because I thought you were going to say Mr. Freeze, and I was looking for an excuse to drop some Arnold. You are not sending me to the cooler. Ice to see you.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
God, what a terrible movie. Okay, so my number 4 Batman villain of all time. All right, I got to remember because I had him listed as The Court of Owls.
Cool.
The story that Scott Snyder relaunched the New 52 with. Just if you don't know, just quick history. The Court of Owls, it's revealed in that story there's something that has existed in Gotham since Gotham basically existed. Just this creepy kind of Illuminati-coded thing that has been steering the events in Gotham since before Batman existed. And just the simple, fun writing thing of owls are predators for bats. Yeah. So that's my number 4 Batman villain of all time. Zach, who's your number 3?
So number 3, I couldn't choose between 2 of them, and so I actually have a tie for my number 3, which is Court of Owls as well. I love that story. I love especially what they did with their like Owl Man, which is a thing that we've seen in like Elseworld stories or like alternate universe stories where Batman can be Owlman. But they basically create Bruce Wayne's brother that they've taken, but it's not him, but is it, and they've made him Owlman, and it's such an awesome costume. So it was a tie between that and Two-Face, because I love Two-Face as a character. Just the hero who's gone too far to become a villain, So I'm not going to talk too much because I cheated and put 2 in the same one. But what's your number 3?
Selena Kyle Catwoman.
Cool.
I just, for the simple reason of, Batman can never stop. He can never turn it off. I do not like, I don't really like versions of the Batman story where him and Catwoman get together and they're happy. Because I think to me, that is fundamentally incompatible with who the character is. If the character is someone that can never stop and can never stop fighting evil because he never got over his parents' death, I like the human error of falling in love for someone who's a criminal, falling in love with someone who's a thief, but never being able to just let it go and be happy.
Yeah.
It's tragic, but that's the character to me. And so my favorite Catwoman Batman moments are when he's like, okay, I'll let my guard down and trust her, and then she is herself again. And it just burns him. And he gets burned over and over and over again. It's one of the best moments of Batman Beyond, that show, when Terry McGinnis, the new Batman, if you haven't seen that show, Batman's old and he gets a new kid to do it. Terry falls in love with a criminal, and he chooses to trust her because he's got feelings, and she burns him and betrays him and gets away. And it's a rare moment of like compassion and empathy from Bruce, where he just kind of nods and he tells the kid, "Let me tell you about someone named Selena Kyle." Just, such a good story. But Zach, who's your number 2?
My number 2 is Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Talk about Paul Dini earlier, but just to take somebody as iconic as the Joker and then take something from that to make a possibly as an equally as iconic character, to be the love of the Joker, and then to take that and just fully make her, I mean, she has grown so far beyond Joker. The Harley Quinn TV show is hilarious and amazing, but she's great in everything. I mean, her comics are fun and unique, and she has this whole crew now, and she is now possibly hero, possibly villain. Like, it's always like a change of the week. But the idea of the Joker's psychiatrist falls in love with the Joker and then realizes that he's toxic. I don't know. There's something just human about it. I love that her and Ivy are a thing. I love that Ivy has given her. So if you haven't read the Mad Love comics, or her first comics in issue, Ivy eventually gives her a seed or something that makes her quick and strong and not superhuman, but more agile and stuff like that. And so I love that their stories are intertwined from the beginning. I think Harley Quinn's badass, and it's cool to have somebody as equally as deranged as time as the Joker, and completely sane other times. She's great. If you haven't read Harleen, it's a book that came out within the past 5 years, and it was a DC Black Label, so an adult, not for kids comic. It doesn't have anything super explicit in it, but it is a retelling of her origin story, but from Harleen's perspective, and being a psychiatrist and falling in love, and it's very well written. Highly recommend. But who's your number 2?
Right on. Well, I just want to point out Mad Love, such a great Batman story.
Yeah.
It's not even really about Batman at all. It's Batman kind of cameos in it. But Dr. Harleen Quinzel, like you said, is the Joker's psychiatrist in Arkham, and he just starts to work her. Mm-hmm. Just starts to kind of paint himself as a sympathetic character, and type of thing where she's like, oh, okay, maybe he's not that bad, this Joker guy. And then he escapes. Batman beats the crap out of him and sends him back to Arkham, and that's when Joker knows he's got her, because she's like, you shouldn't do this, you just don't understand him. And he just works her and breaks her brain. Very, very sad, but a fantastic story.
Yeah.
And also another great Batman moment where towards the end of that story, because she almost kills him, Batman, and Joker, and that makes him mad that she got so close, and because
he never has.
Batman uses that. He looks at him and goes, well, she did get closer than you ever did, puddin'. Joker's goes nuts. It's the best. But my number 2, Two-Face.
Cool.
So good. Just that, and different. My favorite version of Two-Face, because there's so many different versions of all these characters as well. There should be. There should not be strict continuity in these fictional things, in my opinion. Let people play. Let people tell their version of the characters. But my favorite version is that Harvey and Bruce knew each other since they were kids. They're both kids of privilege. They're both rich. They both experienced varying levels of tragedy in their young life to decide to grow up and become civil servants. And then things get worse for Harvey, depending on which version of the story that you're reading or watching or whatever. And half his face gets destroyed, and he goes nuts and becomes all about duality. And he's Two-Face. There's the good side of him, and there's the bad side of him, literally. But I love that it is such a perfect mirror of Batman. Yeah, that Batman is Bruce Wayne, while equally being this borderline psychotic, criminal beating up monster known as Batman. And it's very much what, like you said earlier, what Batman could become if he let himself slip.
And for our RPG people, talk about lawful evil.
Oh, yeah.
Or chaotic chaotic lawful, you know, where it's like I have a strict code and nobody knows what it is. So I flip this coin, and if it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. You know, like
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, Zach, your number one. Considering the Joker is off the table. Your
Considering
number one
Joker's off the
Batman villain
table,
of all time.
my number one favorite is a character that we've not seen in any movies. It's Hush. I love Hush. You know, spoilers for if you haven't read it, but Hush is a character named Thomas Elliot who also grew up with Batman when he was a kid. Whereas Batman lost his parents, Thomas Elliot killed his parents. And to gain their money because he is resentful and angry, and then he gets resentful towards Bruce and all the things that he has and all the love that he has. It's a story about how much he loves and hates Bruce Wayne. And so he is one of the preeminent, the top plastic surgeons in the world, and he starts killing people to take parts of their face so that he can become Bruce Wayne. And he changes his face to be Bruce Wayne and then starts doing crimes. It's awesome. It's a really cool, like, psychological thing about Batman, written by Jeff Loeb. And I talked about how gritty Jeff Loeb can be. This is super fantastical. It literally starts with Superman getting mind controlled by Poison Ivy, while Killer Croc is on a spree, and it's awesome. If you want to read a really cool book, go read Hush. Top three
Hush.
Batman comics I think of all time. So
Right on.
what about
My
you?
number one, Ra's al Ghul, baby.
Oh yeah,
The head of the demon.
nice.
Such a fantastic villain. It's reason Bane was at number 5 is that this is a mix of the brawn and the brains, but this is a character that is actually smarter than Batman.
Yeah.
Smarter and more deadly because he has an entire organization of killers.
Mm-hmm.
And their goals aren't really that different in that Ra's, to a degree, depending on the iteration of the character, wants to stop crime, but he wants to kill it. He wants to eradicate it. He is judge and jury and executioner. And just everything that has come from Ra's, Talia al Ghul, Damian Wayne, it's such a it's my favorite. Him and Joker are almost neck and neck in many ways. And the Dark Knight trilogy did a great job. But Ra's al Ghul, not my ideal, because my ideal involves Lazarus pits and all the crazy stuff that you get in a comic book.
Yeah.
They did a really cool job. But one of my favorite things about Batman is that he's a ninja. And while in the earliest comic continuity he was trained by somebody else, let's just make it that he was trained by Ra's al Ghul. It's a better story, right? It's just it's a better story, straight up. So I love him, and I think he's awesome. And at one point in time, I want the comic story in live action, as silly as it is, but it is so ridiculous, of shirtless Batman with the cowl on fighting Ra's al Ghul with swords.
Yeah.
Trying to stop a nuclear explosion that Ra's has set up. It's just so fun and so over the top. And James Gunn, come on, dog.
If
Come
anyone
on.
will do it, it'll be James
Come
Gunn.
on. Make that the climax of what are they calling it? Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
The Batman movie that's coming. Just come on, dude.
It might have a
Do
ton
it.
of Ra's al Ghul if it's about his son.
I can't wait. I
Yeah.
literally can't wait. But okay. So we knew we were going to yap about this. As
Yeah.
we're coming up on an hour, I don't really feel a need to rein us in, but we're going to talk about a lot of the same stuff. But Zach,
Maybe we go a little quicker.
Sure.
Yeah.
top
Alright.
5 Batman comics of all time for you.
Yeah, I will talk a little bit about this one because it's something we haven't talked about. A book that came out in the past, I think, 10 years, Batman White Knight. It is alternate universe where Joker gets cured. Batman goes a little too hard on Joker, shoves a bunch of pills down his throat, and Joker gets cured and becomes Jack something, I can't remember. But
Is it Jack Napier?
I think so. But he basically runs for mayor and like tries to reform, and it's Batman not being able to deal with the fact that the Joker has reformed and become a good guy. So it's a very like kind of turn the entire world on its head type of book, and it's awesome. And it plays with continuity in a way that's really fun. But yeah, I really like that book. What's your number 5?
Awesome. Batman: The Long Halloween.
Yeah.
You hinted at it earlier. If you like the Dark Knight trilogy and you like the Batman, go read what they are ripping off, as well they should, because they're ripping it off with love. It's Batman: The Long Halloween.
Yeah.
But the one thing that story does that we kind of talked about earlier, that that they haven't done in any on-screen iteration cover song of it yet, at least in live action. It is a fantastical story while also being a detective story. Like the Hannibal Lecter that Batman's talking to in prison is Calendar Man.
Yeah.
While also dealing with Poison Ivy, while also dealing with the Joker, while getting the origin of Two-Face, while fighting Solomon Grundy in the sewers, while I think Mr. Freeze ties in at some point. That might not be right, but whatever. It's Jeff Loeb took basically all of Batman's rogues gallery. Oh, Catwoman figures heavily into this story. It is the perfect bridge of the gap between like street level Batman and crazy fantasy. It is all of it in one big thing. That there is the scene from the Dark Knight movie of Gordon, Harvey Dent, and Bruce Wayne, Batman, standing on the roof of Gotham Central, going, "We're gonna do this together."
Yeah,
it's while also getting the origin of Two-Face. It's very much the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
So, but with more fun. Zach, what's your number 4?
Speaking of not fun, Dark Knight Returns is my number 4. A dark, gritty recreation of, I mean, it's fun, but like a retelling of Batman, an older Batman, a Batman that's radical, a Batman that's all powerful, and it is a thing that got me back into reading comics in high school. That I was like, I don't know. I used to read comics, and then I had a theater professor be like, "You should read this, and you should actually like read it." And I read it, and I was like, "Yep, all right. Where can I get more Batman comics again?" Like Matt said, this would be a good death. Just mic drop after mic drop in that book. I think the sequels are a little funky, but that book is great. So, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is technically a cheat because it is a Justice League story, but JLA Tower of Babel.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is a Mark Waid story, but it's the story that you've probably heard of it, where all of a sudden villains start just wrecking the Justice League. One by one, all coming really, really close to killing them. And they find out over the course of the story that somebody hacked the Bat computer and found plans that Batman had put together to incapacitate every single member of the Justice League in case they ever went rogue.
Yeah.
And again, that's why I love Batman. He does not he will respect people. He doesn't trust anybody, no matter what. And then this isn't from the comic, but a fantastic Batman moment is from the movie adaptation called Justice League Doom, where at the end of it they start to vote Batman out because of what he did, and he's like, "Hold on. If you don't see the value in what I did, I don't want any part of this," and he quits the Justice League.
Yeah.
And Superman's like, "What? You're so arrogant that you wouldn't come up with a plan to stop you?" He says, "I have one. It's called the Justice League," and he leaves. Or what does he say? He's like, "If you don't see whatever, if you don't see the threat in a rogue Justice League, then you're all damn fools, and I'm no part of this." And he walks. It's just that's Batman. That's who he is.
Yeah.
Who's your number 3?
Number 3
what's
is
your number 3 Batman comic?
Court of Owls. We talked about it before. I love the idea of that there's been this thing running Gotham since the beginning of the city. It's the criminal underbelly that's under the criminal underbelly. It's the society and the masks and all that, and just the air of mystery, and it causes Batman to not have to be a detective and like figure it all out. That book is so well written, starts off the New 52, and one of the best Batman comics of all time for me. So your number 3?
Batman Year One.
Yeah.
So Frank Miller shows up on my list. The only thing about it, it's the only one of these stories that I've got on here that has no fantasy. It is just Batman versus the mob.
Yeah.
But like alone, just the scene of Batman exploding the wall of the house that all the mob bosses are together and just eating, having a little party, and just him lighting himself through the flames, and just as of this moment, none of you are safe. It's just like, well, what's the other quote? "I know pain. Sometimes I share it with someone like you." And it's the only thing I don't like about it, because that's the nature of the story, is Batman still learning how to do it. So he has a lot of he makes a lot of bad mistakes. Yeah. And I understand that's the character, but I am partial to the Bat God. That is just going, this is incident, or like, this is situation number 377. I need to do this to prep. That's the Batman that I like.
To bring it back to Star Wars, they need to write Thrawn like they write Batman.
Yes. Stop explaining everything. Just do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And give him mic drops, because that's how smart he is. But anywho, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Under the Red Hood. The return of Jason Todd. One of a great movie adaptation too, but the comic is so good. Basically, if you don't know, Jason Todd was a Robin number 2 that got killed by the Joker, and the fans voted for him to die. Then they let him die for 20, 30 years, and then they brought him back as a villain, and he takes on the moniker that the Joker was before the Joker was, which is the Red Hood, and he is killing criminals. He's basically being Batman, but killing. And Batman is running after him. And the big moment where he realizes that he's in trouble is a train goes by and he's like, "Good to see you, Bruce." And Batman's like, "He knows who I am. What is going on?" And then the end of it is so good because he has the Joker there. And he's like, "I understand not searching for me. I understand I understand moving on. I understand all this, that you had to do what you had to do." And then he opens a closet and Joker's there beaten up by a crowbar. And he goes, "But why is he still alive? Why is he still breathing? He killed me. I thought that would be enough, you know?" He's like, "You couldn't break your one rule for this person." And it's awesome. Eventually Red Hood gets redeemed and all that, but I love Red Hood as a villain, and I love that book. It's a rare non-Kevin Conroy Batman performance that's fantastic. It's Kevin Greenwood, I believe is the name. Captain Pike from the Star Trek movies. But yeah, great. Really great. What is your number 2?
If you can't tell, we like Batman, and we can talk about it a lot, but my number 2 is The Dark Knight Returns.
Nice.
So many reasons we've talked about. If somehow you don't know what we're talking about, The Dark Knight Returns is a story set way into the future, where Batman had retired. He gave it up. He basically gave it up because of Jason Todd's death.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That wasn't the only reason, but they kind of leave it that was the big reason. And it's one of the many Batman stories about how this is who he is, this is his destiny, it is unavoidable. But you want to talk about mic drops. I alluded to this line earlier. I want you to remember, Clark, in all the years to come, in your most private moments, I want you to remember my hand at your throat. I want you to remember the one man who beat you. As he's able to kill Superman, but also won't. Because I'm Batman, baby. Like, that's just to open a story with the Batman inner monologue, this would be a good death. Not good enough. Before you even have any context yet. And then to end the story. This would be a good life. Good enough.
Yeah. Well, he fixes his own heart attack
and makes a new life for himself where he can operate as he chooses as Batman until the day he dies. I had to I was kicking myself to not have this as my number 1. Because there's some brutality in it that isn't my favorite, but just those 2 lines. Yeah. This would be a good death, not good enough. This would be a good life, good enough.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic story.
Yeah.
So, Zach, your number 1 Batman comic of all time.
I've talked about it before already. It's Hush. I think Hush is such a great villain. It's such a cool story. It does the Batman thing of having multiple villains in it, but still telling a great story. He's unique. He's cool. He should be in a movie. They allude to him in The Batman, so I'm really hoping Batman 2 has him in there, because we see a picture of a Elliot, who's a reporter. We see Hush literally painted on some stuff. So I'm really hoping it's not just like a nod, and I hope that's what we get for the Batman 2, because I think it would really fit very well into that world that Matt Reeves has built. But yeah, if you read one comic off of this list, go read Hush. It's cool. What's your number 1?
We've talked about it before, so I'll be brief. The Court of Owls.
Nice.
And I know that that's a hot take, and I know that people are going to get mad right now, but also from a writing perspective, it's every comic is somebody's first. was a Stan Lee quote that he said a bunch. And considering that was a relaunch, it is the best example I've ever seen of a story that you can pick up and understand everything that's happening. There are so many ways that Scott Snyder does excellent God-level exposition without feeling like you're being explained well, as we know, these are all the Robin. Like, there are so many just crazy clever ways that he explains all of Batman's universe so simply in a way that works in the narrative. While also telling it, like, you talked about the detective story of the Court of Owls. It starts with they find someone that was clearly murdered by someone calling themselves the Court of Owls. He finds a death threat to Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne will die at midnight. And the whole time, they're all like, Bruce? And he's like, the Court of Owls doesn't exist. And they're like, yes, they do. And he's like, no, they don't. Because I heard they had something to do with my parents' death when I was a child, and I looked into it, and there was nothing there.
Yeah.
I know they don't exist. I cannot be wrong. I'm Batman. But then not only do they exist, they're killing people close to you. Not only do they exist, they're in Wayne buildings. Not only do they exist, you're now being attacked by one of them. And it is such a good, scary Batman story that I am desperate to see adapted on the big screen. I think the Batman 2 should be Court of Owls.
That would be cool. And not only do they exist, they have frozen assassins from all different parts of times to go and kill people, and one of them is Dick Grayson's grandfather or like great grandfather.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a good show.
Fantastic.
Good book.
Yeah. Did you? And you did your number one. Okay.
Yep.
So last thing, we have to talk about it because these are the most influential things because the most people see them. We're nerds and we read comics and we watch animated shows and whatever else, but top 5 Batman movies of all time. Animation counts.
Yes, I have one animation in here. Number 5 for me is Batman Forever. As a kid, that thing caught my attention like nothing else.
Wow.
You know, Jim Carrey as Riddler. I mean, it is silly and campy and fun. It's one of the Joel Schumachers, but it's great. It's fun. It's exciting. You got a great Robin. You get the introduction of Robin. It literally started my obsession with like Nightwing and all that. I think it's fun. I had to throw something super campy on here. But yeah, and Val Kilmer's a great Bruce Wayne.
Does a good job.
Yeah.
One of the best things about Batman Forever, it is a very silly movie. Tommy Lee Jones is not one of the best things. But one of the best things about Batman Forever is that it's really the only of those first 4 Batman movies. Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin. It's the only one that's about Batman.
Yeah.
It's the only one.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 5. The movie adaptation of Batman Under the Red Hood, and Zach already talked about it for all those reasons and more.
Oh, it's so
awesome.
good.
It's awesome. I highly recommend watching it. It's a little dark. I wouldn't necessarily watch it with kids, depending on the kid.
Yeah.
But highly recommend. Zach, what's your number 4?
Mask of the Phantasm.
Cool.
It was a Batman the Animated Series. There's this villain who's going around killing people. They're the Mask of the Phantasm. Meanwhile, Bruce is falling in love with this woman. Spoiler alert. They have something to do with each other. I won't spoil it too much because I don't think people know too much about this movie. There's Joker in it. There's all these different villains. It's great. It's really great. I don't want to spoil too much because I think this is a movie a lot of people haven't seen. And if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it right now. Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill. It's great. It's super great. And it was released in theaters. So.
Yeah. Okay. So my number 4, and these next 3, they go in and out of each other, and I can't even... The Dark Knight Rises. So the worst thing about it is it's a little... I mean, I think these are going to be your next several as well.
No,
but
they're not.
it's my... Oh, wow, okay. It's my least favorite of the Nolans, but they're all kind of... They ebb and flow for me, just because there's times that it's like, this doesn't make any sense, and it's the only one of the Nolan movies that I think there's massive logic gaps, and it's so long. But it's an exceptional movie, and the 3rd act is one of the best Batman things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That you have an army of police against an army of Bane soldiers, and Batman and Bane beating the crap out of each other in broad daylight.
So you came back to die with your city.
Yeah.
No, I came back to stop you. Then you also get the goofy stuff where Michael Caine talking about fairly specific wine, a fairly branca, and watching Bruce Wayne having dinner with Catwoman. And it's like, well, you telegraphed that one. But, anywho, but yeah, it's still a great movie, and it's my number 4. Zach, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Batman 1989, the OG Michael Keaton.
Wow, cool.
It's great. It's gothic. It's Tim Burton-y. You got a crazy Jack Nicholson who's just eating up scenery. It did so much for comic book movies in general. It's awesome.
Right on.
Everybody knows it. So, your number 3?
Sorry, I got a judgy face. I'm not a fan of that movie. But,
really?
Yeah. I've rewatched it recently. We'll get into it more later. This is a long episode, but there's a lot of things in that movie that it's like, what? Why? Why are we doing this? What? Huh? What are you talking about? What? Batman, why are you killing everybody? Also, who cares about Vicky Vale? What? Alfred, you let her into the Batcave? What? Why? This is the first Batman movie ever. What are we doing? Anyway, so these next two go back and forth for me. The Dark Knight is my number 3. And I know there's everybody that says it should be the number 1. It might be your number 1. It's a little dark for me. Me personally, it's a little too dark. I love so much about it. It gets the Joker's philosophy right. While being a little... This movie gets into kind of the whole thing of, like, if you start to pretend like Batman isn't a story that kids can watch as well, you kind of lose what Batman is.
Yeah.
Right? It's a guy that puts on a bat suit and punches criminals in the face. This is not prestige filmmaking, you know? But Heath Ledger is absolutely incredible and some of the best villain monologues ever. It's the movie where, for some reason, Christian Bale decided that his intimidation voice is now the only voice that Batman has, which is weird that it's that way for the next 2 movies. But it's a incredibly well-made film with some fantastic philosophy, and yeah, in terms of the Batman movies that we've gotten, it's this high on my list.
Yeah.
So okay. Zach, what's your number? I don't know
My
where
number
we are.
2
Your number 2
is Spicy Take, The Batman by Matt Reeves.
Wow.
It's a little long, but it does really... It's so stylistic and unique and beautifully shot. I love that it's a street-level Batman. I love that it's early Batman, but we don't need all of the, everything that we... origin stories that we always got. I like that they do something different. I like an emo Batman. I like that it's always raining. I like that the villain gets the best of him, but he still is a hero at the end. And I love that we finally get the Batman monologues as voice. Like every Batman comic starts with Batman talking about like the city. This city is mine, but it's also bad. And, it's so good. And I rewatched it recently, and I was like, man, this is a really good movie. I'm really excited to see what they do with it. So, your number 2.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, they think I'm in the shadows, but I am the shadows.
Yeah.
It is cheesy, but that's Batman. You have to have mic drop lines. That is fundamental to the character, though he is a living computer. That just computes justice. And as silly as that sounds, that's the idea. Thursday, October 31st. The streets are crowded for the holiday.
Yeah.
Even in the rain. Anyway. But, okay, my number 2, Batman Begins.
Nice.
Such a good movie. I'm a sucker for origin stories. I'm happy that as a culture we appear to have moved past that, where we don't feel the need to, at least for right now, we're in an era where we don't need to explain everything. We trust you to know who Superman is. We trust you to know who Batman is, right? But I love seeing someone start something and become something else, and I love the scene on the plane with Bruce and Alfred, with Bruce talking about, as a man I can be ignored, but as a symbol I can be everlasting. I can be incorruptible, and that's what I need to be. That's how I can change Gotham. Such a good movie. And yeah, I love Ra's al Ghul, so even though it's not quite my ideal version of Ra's al Ghul, I like that movie, and there's a lot of times that I think... that's my favorite of the Chris Nolans. I just said it's my favorite of the Chris Nolans. I go back and forth, but it's the one that it's a positive watch. And the Scarecrow, such a fantastic villain.
Cillian Murphy does great work.
incredible. What, taste of your own medicine, doctor? And he then he doses the Scarecrow. One of the best moments of that movie. One of my favorite Batman moments on screen, honestly, is when you see scary Batman. But, okay, Zach, your number one Batman movie ever made.
Well, let's continue talking about it. It's Batman Begins.
Okay, there you go. I figured.
It's great. I mean, I was going back and forth between this and Dark Knight. Dark Knight is beautiful and amazing, but Batman Begins you can watch and feel good afterwards. You could. It's a positive. That movie got everyone so hyped. It also does the best thing of just being like, hey, here's Batman, here's all this. And then you've inspired others. They left a card, and it's the Joker card. There's I get chills just thinking about it. It does such a great job at creating a world and a universe, and it is one of the few origin films that I'm also just okay with rewatching again and again. I love seeing Batman training. We never really got that. We always got, here's Batman, his parents died. Now he's Batman. This is becoming Batman. It is Batman Year One. It is Long Halloween. It is, it does such a good job at mixing so many different source materials. Qui-Gon Jinn's fantastic. Liam Neeson. Training evil, but it's just so good. It's great. It is my favorite of the Nolan films. I love The Dark Knight. It didn't go on my list because I wanted, I feel like there needed to be one representation of the Nolan films. And for me, that is Batman Begins. So.
Right on.
I don't have to save you. I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you either.
Fun fact, I dislike that moment. Because I'm like, you're trying to have your cake and eat it too, guys.
Yeah.
Either you kill people or you don't. But that's
What's
funny.
your
You had the
number
courage
one?
to do what I didn't do.
Yeah.
My number one, the first time I heard this, it made me feel less crazy for thinking it. But for me, it is not even close. You talk about mixing my favorite things, an origin story with Batman being unable to stop, with a street-level detective story, with crazy fantasy concepts. It is not even a discussion. Mask of the Phantasm is the best Batman movie made so far, and it's not close. Sorry. Get mad. Get mad. It's not even close at all. You get a great Batman story about the Joker and how all he causes is pain and suffering, and you get a fantastic Batman story about how broken he is psychologically, while getting my favorite Batman love story, while getting my favorite representation of his origin. Just, you see him going out trying to operate not in a bat suit because he hasn't had that idea yet. And then he comes back and he's talking to Alfred. They weren't afraid of me. They weren't afraid of me. What am I supposed to do? And it's just... And then my favorite Batman scene of all time. It is a riff on Batman Year One of him bleeding out, having tried to operate, not in a bat suit, and he's looking at, the bust of his father. Just, begging, what am I supposed to do? And a bat crashes through the window and lands on the bust. And he's like, yes, father, I shall become a bat. But you get the moment... They split that up in two ways. I'm going to mildly spoil a moment of this movie. But it's Bruce Wayne. So this movie is told with flashbacks and in the present day. And it's keeps flashing back to Bruce having just returned to Gotham and trying to figure out how to be Batman. He's gone on the Batman journey of training and whatever else. But he's come back and he's fallen in love with someone named Andrea Beaumont. And as he proposes to her, bats explode out of this cave, out of this cave beneath Wayne Manor and swarm them. Oh, and that's how he, number one, discovers the Batcave, and it's the first time that they play on his parents trying to shove his destiny down his throat, because then there's that moment. He proposes he's going to be happy. He gets swarmed by bats, and they're like, "What is this?" Which they stole in Dark Knight Rises as well. They should. But then, my favorite Batman scene ever is the next scene, where he is kneeling in the rain, screaming and crying and begging at the grave of his parents. Begging for their permission to not have to be Batman. Because the quote is, "Please, I didn't count on being happy. Just please let me not do this." Yeah. On top of great story all around that. But that moment whatsoever sums up Batman to me. It's a heartbreaking quote. Please, I didn't plan on being happy.
Yeah.
Ugh. It's the best. And then you get this, like, horrible, like, angelic, like, chord and lightning strikes, and it's like he's talking to the grave of his parents, just begging them to give him permission to have a different life. I'm fired up and I want to watch the movie now. I gotta be honest. That's my favorite Batman moment ever. That's who he is. That's why he can't stop, because he believes that he will be disappointing his dead parents if he stops. He's dishonoring their memory if he gives it up even for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
And that's why we love Batman, y'all.
Yeah, happy Batman Day. Thank you for if you are a longtime listener, thank you for coming along with us on this, little detour on this tangent about Batman. This is not what we normally do. If you are a first-time listener, we normally talk about Star Wars news and interview people and find out why they love Star Wars. But this is a little bit about why we love Batman. And, our friendship... part of our friendship was founded on listening to Fatman on Batman and Fatman Beyond in the early days, and we love Batman. We do. He's great. He would be a great Jedi. Probably have a purple lightsaber or something like that, because he had purple gloves when he first appeared.
Good call.
Yep. But yeah, if you want to get involved or have any questions about whatever you just watched or listened, email us, forceofothersradio@gmail.com, and we will get back to you. Matt, anything you want to add? I have a special send-off for us.
We hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, normally we talk about the Star Wars. Next week, we're going to have a special guest on the show.
Mm-hmm.
We're also, if we have time, we're going to talk about Lego... what do they call it? Lego Rebuild the Galaxy, Pieces of the Past.
Yeah.
Because that comes out this weekend. But also, either next week or sometime soon, the hardest Star Wars quiz in the world.
Yeah.
It's the Dragon Con Star Wars quiz. And for the first time that I know of, they released the entry quiz online for you to take. And I took it a couple weeks ago, not realizing we could do it on the show. But we want you to see if you can pass the hardest Star Wars quiz in the world with us. Zach's going to take it live on the show. And you can take it along with us as well. Just promise not to Google anything. But lots of fun stuff. And then the week after next, what I can say for sure, it's going to be another Force of Other Stuff situation. October 1st is the 60th anniversary of the original Dune novel.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have special guest Lance Candler on the show. And we're going to have a franchise. Hit it.
We could talk
so
about.
We're gonna have.
It wouldn't be Force of Other Stuff. It'd be the influences of Star Wars.
Yeah, but we're gonna have a franchise fight and try to objectively prove what's better, Dune or Star Wars. Me in the Star Wars corner, Lance in the Dune corner.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a fight.
And I'll moderate.
And yeah. And we're also we'll have it like organized, but then we're also gonna talk, the influences and so on and so forth. But Zach, you got anything else for the peeps?
No. And as a special Batman send-off. And remember, this could be a good life. Good enough. The Force of Others, a Star Wars podcast.